Let's analyze the last game that resulted in Ding Liren making a historic achievement in the world of chess. So Nepo initiates the game with e4 and Ding responds with e5. They continue with knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, and we see Roy Lopez on the board once again. And then, in a blink of an eye, both the players made the following moves, which are pretty standard ones. And here Ding attacked Nepo's bishop, and bishop takes a step back, pawn captures on a4, and until here in the game, every single move was exactly repeated the same way as it was played in the game 2 of the tiebreaker series that ended in a draw. But here, Nepo surprised Ding with the move knight to c3 instead of playing bishop d2 like he did in his earlier game. So it made Ding think about the nuances here as to what really has changed in the position. Knight c3 definitely puts pressure on the black's a4 pawn. So after thinking for a while, Ding decided to take control of this semi-open b file by playing rook to b8. And Nepo here made a visually shocking, odd-looking move bishop b1. This square is not for the bishop. Why would he put his bishop on a diagonal which has 3 pawns of his own army? Even world champion Vishwanathan Anand called this move funny in his tweet. But then what's the idea behind this move? What is Nepo really thinking? So well, there is a nice little tactic hidden here. So the idea here is that white is double attacking this isolated a4 pawn over here, and if black tries to hold on to this pawn by playing queen to e8, then white can attack this pawn one more time with b3, and notice that black pawn is pinned and he cannot take on b3 because otherwise then he will lose his knight. So Ding here thought for about 4 minutes and then finally made the most logical move, queen to e8. Nepo played b3 as expected, and now Ding knows that his a4 pawn is falling anyway and he can't save it, but he is also very well aware of the fact that after knight takes a4, Nepo would plan c3 followed by either d4 or b4 to give life to his lifeless bishop. So Ding decided to make this bishop's life miserable and prevent white's idea of c3, d4 or b4 by playing c5. c5 takes control of these squares and now it's not easy for white to free his bishop. And now knight takes pawn and black's knight gets out from the a file to prevent himself from any discovered attack from the rook. And now Nepo plays knight to c3. Seriously, doesn't he love his bishop sitting over here? This poor guy had high hopes on Nepo that he would play c3 and make a serious attempt to make him active again in the game. But knight to c3 just makes his bishop locked up completely behind his own wall of pawns. And this bishop now is crying for help. White is now technically playing a piece down in the World Championship tiebreaker match. Only God can save him. And you know what? Even God didn't save him. So here, Ding happily played a5, knight d2, bishop e6, knight c4 and now d5. A better move would have been queen to either d7 or d8. And here Nepo played pawn takes, knight takes, and here Nepo made another mistake in the game, bishop to d2. He missed the chance of freeing his bishop. You know what would have been a better move? A better move would have been knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, and now c3 with some ray of light for this trapped bishop over here. But Nepo doesn't care for his bishop, so he played bishop d2. And here surprisingly Ding decided to trade knights. So knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, and now this bishop is eyeing the a5 as well as the e5 pawn. And now Ding plays bishop takes c4. Ding is giving up his bishop pair and now Nepo surprisingly captured back not with his d pawn but with his b pawn. This is extremely shocking given that this bishop is sitting completely lifeless over here and is totally inactive in the game. Ding plays bishop d8, adding extra protection to this a5 pawn, and now bishop comes to d2, bishop c7, guarding both the pawns, and white played c3. Finally! And you see, even this evaluation bar has settled in the middle. But Ding now scares Nepo with f5, threatening to advance his e-pawn and opening up lines for his queen. Nepo responds back with rook e1, Ding goes rook d8, rook a2, and now queen g6, queen e2 and queen d6, forming a beautiful battery on this diagonal and threatening to play e4. So why is e4 so scary? So for example, if white plays bishop c2, then black plays e4, threatening to checkmate. So if white blocks this threat with g3, then black can play e into d3, forking white's pieces. And if in this scenario white takes this pawn, then of course queen comes to h2, king goes to f1, and queen h1 would be a checkmate. Obviously Nepo cannot let all of this happen. So after queen d6, g3 was the only logical move and the best move, and Nepo played that. And now rook d to e8 and queen to f3. And here Ding played e4, which is a mistake because it opens door for Nepo's light squared bishop to become active on this light squared diagonal. And suddenly white will have a slightly better game in this situation. So Nepo immediately takes advantage of this move and captures this e4 pawn, and Ding now makes a great move in the game, and that is knight to e5, attacking this queen. Queen goes to g2, knight to d3, bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, pawn takes pawn, rook takes e1 check, bishop takes e1, queen takes c4, and here Nepo played rook a1, which is another mistake in the game. Better move here would have been rook to d2, because if queen takes pawn, then queen d5 check, king goes to the corner, rook e2 with a discovered attack on queen, plus black's isolated pawns are weaknesses too, and white would have a very good game here. Let's go back. But here Nepo instead played rook to a1, and after rook takes pawn, Nepo goes bishop d2 because it's doing nothing on this e1 square, it's just blocked over here. So he decides to get active here on this square, controlling this diagonal. Ding plays h6, queen c6 attacking the bishop on c7. Ding plays rook f7, protecting it. And now rook e1, king h7, bishop e3, bishop e5, queen e8, bishop into c3, rook c1, pinning the bishop to the queen, rook f6, queen d7. And here if you look at both the players' clocks, Ding just has 2 minutes 36 seconds. He is under immense time pressure, but still he manages to find a brilliant move in the game, and that is queen to e2. This move is exceptionally good because not only it gets out of the way of its passed pawn, but he has also set up a small trap here, because if rook takes bishop, then queen e1 check forks white's pieces, and white is going to go down in material, plus he will have to deal with black's two deadly passed pawns. Let's go back. So after queen e2, Nepo goes queen d5. Ding plays bishop b4, protecting both the pawns, and Nepo here tries to draw the game with perpetual check, so he plays queen e4 check, king goes to g8, queen d5 check, king h7, and now queen e4 check again. And here in this situation, if you look at both the players' clocks, Ding is already 1 minute behind Nepo, but still he refuses to settle for a draw and goes completely bold and courageous and stops the check with rook g6. And here both these strong players are under immense time pressure, and Nepo here makes a mistake of playing queen f5. The reason why this isn't a good move because it gave Ding chance to push his c pawn, and that's what exactly he did. Ding played c4, and now Nepo really started to feel the pressure of passed pawn over here, and the time on the clock is also ticking, so he thinks for a whole minute over here and then makes a blunder of playing h4. h4 immediately loses for white, and the reason why this move is a blunder because black can now play queen d3, forcing the white queen to leave this diagonal so that the black rook can now become active in the game. White played queen f3, rook to f6, attacking the queen. Queen comes to g4, and now Ding pushes his passed pawn to c3. Nepo is almost shivering over here, and he plays rook d1. He doesn't know what to do, so he thinks of attacking the queen. Queen comes to g6, getting out of the attack and asking for a trade of queens. White takes his queen to c8, rook c6, attacking the queen one more time and getting his rook behind his passed pawn over here. Queen goes to a8 and Ding here played rook to d6, which is not a very great move. A better move here would have been c2. And if white gets the rook to the d8 square, threatening to checkmate black's game, then that would not have worked because black can now queen his pawn with a check to the white king. Bishop takes queen, rook takes bishop with a check, king goes to g2, and now queen c6 check and queen takes, rook takes, and this is a completely winning and easy position for black. So let's go back. But here in the game, instead of playing the best c2, Ding played rook to d6, which is not a great move, but here both the players are under time pressure and it's a matter of world championship game, so it's quite natural to make mistakes in the game. Though rook d6, not a great move but not a bad move either. So Ding played rook d6, white captures the rook, queen captures back, and now white gives queen e4 check, queen goes to g6, interposing, blocking the check, queen c4, queen b1 check, king goes to h2, a4, trying to push the other passed pawn, bishop goes to d4, double attacking this pawn over here, but black doesn't care, he plays a3 because he has another passed pawn, queen goes to c7, threatening to checkmate black on the g7 square, queen drops back to g6, queen c4, c2, this pawn cannot be taken because it's protected by black's queen, bishop e3, trying to guard this square, bishop d6, king g2, h5, king f1, bishop e5 with an idea to come on this square so that it can control both of these queening squares over here. And here white played g4, black takes the pawn, white attacks black's queen, queen f5, and white played queen d5, pinning this bishop over here so that it doesn't come on this square, and black played g3, double attacking on f2, white played f4 in response, attacking the pinned bishop over here, but it's too late to do any damage to black because black has these two powerful passed pawns. So black plays a2, queen takes a2, and black takes this f4 pawn, and here is the situation when Nepo resigned the game. And the reason why he resigned is that because he cannot stop the queening of this pawn, plus white was terribly low on time with a completely hopeless situation. And with this, the world's number 3 beats the world's number 2 and becomes the world's number 1. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video with more such amazing game analysis.